So one way that dissociation can show up in presentation is in lost time. And the client may not name it as lost time. They're telling you a story and then there's a gap. And so you're trying to figure out, how did they get from this part of the story to the next part of the story? Or sometimes there is also the presentation of a flattened affect, where we would often talk about like blank eyes. And so the person is present in session, but they're not really present. And that's why we know, even with, for example, exposure therapy or narrative therapy, we know it's important to connect people with their emotions at the time. And people who are dissociated, one of the manifestations of that can be in the intellectualizing. So I can be in my head and explain it all to you and have theories about why this happened and, why my life has turned out like this. But there is a disconnect from my body, my heart, my spirit. So sometimes we are asking our clients a question, and the way they are responding, they can give you the facts, right? So they're not skipping over events, but they are detached from the narrative. So there is not a sense of emotional presence or emotional connection to what they are sharing. And we can also see it in terms of people being disconnected from their bodies. And so some of us are of the mind or approach where you start to ask questions, trying to help people connect emotions to physical sensations. And for some people, that is very difficult and it's very foreign because they are not experiencing the body or their bodies as a part of themselves. So thinking about it in the way people tell the story, looking at content, then looking at affect as it relates to what people are speaking. And then when we do interventions or questions related to our clients' bodies, and there is a challenge with making that connection, those are some indications related to dissociation. So then when we start talking about the healing and how we do the work, a part of it is in the mindfulness. So beginning to ask those deeper questions, about, we hold tension in our bodies and we hold it in different places. As you sit now, are you aware of generally where you hold tension in your body? And are you aware of where you may be holding tension now? Right? So that takes me from here and concerned about this into the body, and suddenly, becoming aware of the tension in the lower back, or that I'm holding my jaw or my neck and my shoulders, because often we were not aware. It's like not only tuning into the body, but making the observation, you're not breathing. You want to take a breath, right? And sometimes until we name it, because a person is used to operating in that space, they're not even aware, like, oh, and some clients will say, like, how'd you know that? It's like, I'm looking at you, right? And I know some of what it is to be in a space of not breathing. So the breathing, connecting to the muscles, and then also getting into what I really feel. And a part of that becomes psychoeducation, because some people only know like mad, sad, happy, right? So sometimes when people are giving us what we are perceiving as a surface question, a surface answer, it's not that they're trying to give us the runaround, that many people are not fluent in emotion, that there was not space for that. So even giving the language of, what do these words mean, and removing some of the shame as we start to think about what feelings were unacceptable in your house. What feelings may have even been unacceptable for your religion. And so giving that permission and space. One of the important pieces about dissociation is what some are languaging embodied healing. Some people call it somatic healing, that a violation, an abuse, a trauma affects us holistically, mind, body, spirit. And so Much of our work focuses on mind and heart, if we want to call the heart the center for emotion, but no acknowledgement of people's spiritual meaning making or spiritual ruptures in the aftermath of trauma, and no acknowledgement of the physical ways that we are holding it. And I do want to say here that ethnic minorities are more likely to have somatic complaints, right? So not naming it as depression, but having migraines, having backache, muscle ache, feeling nauseous, right? So it is in the body. And so to connect with the trauma and with myself and my healing, also we can incorporate embodied healing, which can take the form of dance, of movement, of yoga, as playing with different postures, right? And being in those positions that represent different aspects of our experience and allowing them to come. Like there's going to be that tide coming in of the emotional response to like, oh, what does that feel like? And to be able to let that come up and then allow the tide to go back down. So I would say breathing, education, and destigmatization of emotion, connecting with the body, bodily responses, and then engaging in embodied healing.